All right, welcome to week 17 of our league pick'ems video. My name is Chris, and joined with me is my friend Jason.
Always great to be here, Chris. After about 30 false starts, we are finally doing this video on Friday afternoon. And I guess we have a couple games from this week to get to, but also some interesting action last week. So why don't we get to it, man?
Yep. Based on what we got here, I went 9-7 last week, and Jason went 11-5.
Oh yeah.
That brings us to a total of 163-78 for me, with a 2-game lead now over Jason, who is 161-80 on the season.
I'll take it. 2 more weeks to catch you on 2 games. I think I can get there, Chrissy.
And alright, let's go right into our games for last week. We only had 2 contested games this week, and it was the Chiefs and the Steelers game, right?
It was.
Okay. Yep. Did we both pick? We both picked the Broncos, though, didn't we?
We did both pick the Broncos, and the Chargers' absolute demolishing of them.
It was a close game. I actually watched that.
Close game for part of it. The Chargers definitely looked the better team in that one, but that was the game with the free kick right before halftime.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why they were making such a big deal of that.
It's the first time in I think 48 years that's happened, or at least that they were actually able to make the points on the kick.
I had to bring out the NFL Constitution to figure it
out. One of those really obscure rules of when this happens, and this happens, but this doesn't happen at this particular time. This completely new type of play happens.
Just like in the Federalist Papers, yeah.
I think the entire Federalist Papers are probably shorter than the rule that was required to introduce the free kick into football.
And then that brings us to our Saturday games. Where both of our contested picks were both on the Saturday game. First up, we got the Texans, pretty much dumpstering the Chiefs shit on the Texans.
The Texans didn't dumpster anyone, buddy.
I guess it wasn't that bad, but
they did hold on against the Chiefs, but eventually the better team won this one.
Obviously, I was hoping it'd go the other way. Well, what can you do? And then we got the Steelers just completely dropping the ball against the Ravens, and now they've been knocked out of the 3 seed and the division right now, but that can still change. But for now, the Steelers have swapped with the Ravens.
The Steelers are a very good football team. They are a very good football team, but they cannot hang against the best teams. I know that they did beat Baltimore last time they played, and did beat them actually most of the last times that they've played. But that was a different Baltimore, quite honestly. Baltimore is a much cleaner team now than they were when they last lost to Pittsburgh. Even just a few games ago, they're a much cleaner team. They've graduated from being someone like the Eagles, a very good team that's not very clean, to just one of the best teams in the league. And I think Baltimore is going to be a real threat in the playoffs finally.
Yep, that's what they say every season.
Well, I never said that.
Okay. I won't hold you to it.
Alright.
Next up, we got the Giants and then the Falcons' new rookie quarterback. I didn't get this game, but I would have watched it if I did. It looks very one-sided, but he didn't really impress too much. The Giants, in typical fashion, just completely shat on themselves this game with 2 or 3 pick sixes.
Oh yeah, man. The Giants are just an absolute mess and disaster of a franchise right now, and I would normally say that they must really be regretting losing Saquon, but honestly, even with Saquon, what would they be now? A 5-8 team? 6-7? They're probably happier to just get the better draft pick and embarrass themselves every single minute that they're on the field.
He just wouldn't be as productive over there because they'd always be behind.
Yeah, but he was still like a very decent running back, even behind the not so good Giants line.
Then next up, we've got this upset where the Panthers knocked the Cardinals out of playoff contention in a high-scoring
Sneaky
game
good.
somehow.
Yeah,
Why didn't we pick
uh,
the Panthers?
we did. No. We picked the Cardinals.
But why?
Because we just couldn't bring ourselves to pick the Panthers. I think we both kind of almost wanted to. I know I wanted to. But the Panthers had just found ways to toss so many games in a row. I think going back maybe 3 games before that, they were leading at halftime in at least 2 of them, probably all of them, and just found ways to just absolutely, wet the bed in the second half.
Yep.
This time they played a solid offensive game from start to finish.
Then we got the Bears giving up the ass as usual. This was their 9th straight loss. We'll talk about their 10th straight loss later.
Oh yeah. The Bears are just so embarrassing, and oh man, do I have some words about their 10th straight loss. Last week, honestly, only losing to the Lions by 17, even though I think it was a bigger lead earlier. And the Lions are just like, you know what, we don't need to play our starters for the fourth quarter. I think it was something like that. But honestly, for the Bears coming in within 17, probably a moral victory against the Lions.
Then we got a shootout between the Titans and the Colts. Did we both pick the Colts for this, or did we both pick the Titans?
I hope we didn't pick the Titans. Yeah, we both had the Colts.
Okay, I remember.
The Titans were ahead for a large part of this game. The Titans, I believe, I don't know how many games. I would guess probably, if I had to guess, 6 of their last 7 games, just by kind of going on vague memory, where they were ahead at some point in the first quarter, often by more than 1 score. I know I've seen the Titans up 10 or more points a few times in the last several weeks against teams that I never thought they would beat, and they found ways to collapse in every single one of them. It's really unfortunate because this is a team that probably shouldn't be 3-12 now, but man, they are bad.
Speaking of unfortunate, we've got a low-scoring loss from the Jets here.
I just want to ask real quick, you think the Colts have any shot at doing anything?
Well, not this season.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not going to sneak in the playoffs, if that's what you mean.
They got their 7th win.
I don't think the Bengals, Colts, or Dolphins, I don't think either of them are going to make the playoffs now.
You're probably right. It would be hard to catch, the Broncos, for instance.
I think every team that's the 1 through 7th seed right now are going to be the teams that get in.
It's certainly the most likely outcome, yeah. But we'll see. We'll see.
I think that the Bucks might actually miss the playoffs, and that's really sad.
And then we've got the Rams Jets, as you were saying, a low-scoring affair.
I know the Jets' defense played so well, but man, they just couldn't finish those drives. Really disappointing because I was building an office chair during this game.
Why does that make it more disappointing?
I don't know. I just don't want. I don't like seeing Aaron lose because he's probably only going to be in the league for. I don't know. This might be his last season for all I know.
I mean, you said Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rodgers has said he's willing to take a pay cut to stay with the Jets. Quite honestly, I don't think any team in the league wants him right now. There's just so little upside there. And I don't think he's gonna. He would be a very high quality backup. I don't think he wants to be a backup for any team in the league. So I think he wants to be a starter, and I don't think any team is interested because I just don't think he's good enough anymore to be a starter on any one of these 32 teams.
Even the Giants?
The Giants can find someone better. You know what I mean? Like, yes, Aaron Rodgers is better than the Giants, Daniel Jones or Mac or whoever, like, are the starters right now. But there are backups that are under contract that can be acquired cheaper and better than Aaron Rodgers is going to be next year.
All right, next up we've got a cool upset by the Redskins over the Eagles. This kind of locked in the Redskins for the playoffs by getting this win.
Yeah. This actually busted my otherwise successful 5-team parlays. That was a little frustrating for me.
Jeez.
6 seconds left in the game. I think they scored the winning touchdown.
You just bet on a ham sandwich every week, dog.
I mean, look, I'm doing well for myself by doing so. But yeah, the Eagles were up by 2 touchdowns like halfway through the first quarter. I was like, this is the one game I feel really confident I'm gonna win now. The Colts over the Titans was one of my other games. So the Titans were up by 10 points, and I was like, oof, I hope the Titans fold again. But yeah, the Commanders coming back and winning that was definitely a blindside. I'm really happy for them. I really like the Commanders, and this is at least the third last second win that they've had. They've really kind of been charmed this season, honestly, and good for them for making the playoffs.
Then next up, we got the Browns getting completely destroyed. I'm certain if Jameis Winston was playing this game, it would have been like 40 to 40 something.
You think the Bengals would have scored 20 more points if Jameis wins? Well, yeah, he would have thrown a couple.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, I think. Dorian Thompson-Brown is not the answer. Sorry.
Yeah. He's just, I haven't really, obviously he's only played a few games, but they haven't put all shit points since a few starts he's had.
Yeah, I mean, like I said in the game that they first pulled, Jameis, if you don't expect a lot of negative plays, why are you playing Jameis anyway, right? He's high risk, high reward every time, and that's the best the Browns have right now because they overspent on a human piece of shit that also played like a piece of shit.
All right. Next up, we got a super close game, but the Vikings came out against the Seahawks. I think it's actually mildly impressive the Seahawks played this close, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the Vikings wins are close. And the Seahawks, as bad as they looked last night, they're not a bad team. So, this is, I think as probably a lot of people and, even the talking heads probably expected a close win for the Vikes here.
Yep, and the next up we've got a real head scratcher where the Bills barely managed to beat the listless Patriots.
I mean, look, the Patriots are a lot better than their record shows. The fact that they were able to put 21 points up on the Bills D, that was surprising though, yes. Bills, I think, despite this, definitely seem like one of the 3 best teams in the league now, though. Wouldn't you agree?
In the whole league or the AFC?
I would say the whole league.
I mean, I think their offense has infinite ceiling, but man, is their defense giving up a shitload of points the last 3 or 4 games.
I guess so, but they don't always do that.
They've given up 100 points in 3 games, man.
All right, when the Dolphins sneak their way into the playoffs with the 7 seed, the Bills will show us that we still can't put more than 6 points up against them.
Yeah, I don't think so, bro.
Yeah, probably not.
All right, next up in the ultimate shit bowl, the Jags. I think we both picked the Jags too. They end up losing to the Raiders. What happened?
Yeah,
you live in Florida, so break this down.
It was just embarrassing. The Jags did not play a good game, and I think the Raiders actually kind of tried to find ways to lose it near the end and couldn't. Yeah, late touchdown by the Raiders essentially sealed it after the Jags just couldn't put anything together at the end. It was pretty embarrassing. I don't know. I think that there's I think I remember actually some people commenting. I did not see much of this game, but I think I remember people commenting that both teams were actually literally taking actions to try and lose this game. Not 100% sure. But I think they were like making like ridiculous like play calls, and essentially like even like like having their lines jump where they weren't even supposed to, in order to like give over first downs to the other team.
Both teams were trying to
Sometimes
lose?
sometimes it's hard to just, like, separate a really bad team from a team that's tanking.
Wait,
But I
are
think I
you
do remember
saying
accusations of that.
you're saying both teams were trying to tank this game?
That's what I think I heard. Yeah.
That's funny.
They really need to have rules, maybe like the NBA lottery,
They need to get on
where
the Giants. They need to get on the Giants level. That fool threw 2 pick sixes. Man.
right to the intended target. But yeah, they really need to make some type of system where like the worst team is not guaranteed the first draft pick. I feel like.
I don't know. It's a little silly. All right, next up, we've got a relatively dominant win over the Niners by the Dolphins. I'm sure you want to talk about this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even call this dominant. The 49ers looked a lot worse than the Dolphins. Achan looked really good. Tyreek Hill, still invisible for a lot of these games, which is really surprising. It seems like Tua's throwing to Washington more than Hill, or I guess Waddle's, been injured. But it's really kind of surprising how much different the Dolphins' offense looks now than it did 2 years ago. For that matter, it's really surprising how different the 49ers' offense looks now than it did 2 years ago. In that case, more quality than style. But, yeah. 49ers really could not get much done. I don't think Brock had a very good game. And really, both teams gave the ball away a couple times when they weren't supposed to. So I feel like this was the 49ers' loss more than the Dolphins' win. But glad that the Dolphins, pulled out the W here. Keeps them in contention because their next 2 games are against the Browns and the Jets, I believe. Meaning that it is likely that they will win out, finish 9-8, and then they need better teams essentially to lose a couple games. It could happen.
Yeah, I think they need the Dolphins and the Chargers to both lose the rest of their games to
They
get
definitely don't need the Dolphins to lose games.
No, but for the Dolphins to get in, they need the Chargers and the Broncos
and
to
Chargers
both.
to lose. Yes.
Yeah. What did I say the Dolphins?
You said the Dolphins and the Chargers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Broncos and the Chargers.
I think the Bengals also need to lose one. I think the Bengals might have the tiebreaker on us.
Well,
yep.
Yeah. I think if any team in the NFL, I think the Niners have had the most disappointing season, even though other teams have obviously lost more games.
Oh, that's a good take. I think people expected a lot better from the Browns this season after what they did the last 2. Certainly there were the idiots who thought that the Jets would be like Super Bowl bound, but they're all idiots. Yeah, I would agree with you. Probably probably really just the 49ers and the Browns are the 2 most disappointing teams this season.
Cowboys got to be up there too.
Maybe.
And then we got the Cowboys getting the shocking upsets against the Bucks.
I know that you like the Bucks. Were you still happy to see the boys take it?
I mean, I guess so. Yeah. They can still make it in, but yeah, for some reason, and I can't explain this phenomenon, but the Cowboys' defense just was absolutely vicious in this game, and I just don't understand where it was coming from. I have never seen them try to hit people so hard or put so much pressure on a quarterback, even when they were good. I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah.
They got
angry. They got
some steroids in the locker room before the game or something. Because man, they were crazy feisty in this game. They were so physical. It was odd.
Yeah. They went into halftime with 23 points. Didn't score much in the second half, but yeah, the defense did the job.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were absolutely impotent offensively in the second half, but they managed to do such a good job of keeping the Bucks down. It didn't matter.
Yeah, when your offense is really good, when your defense plays really well, one good half of offense is really all it takes. And then we had a Monday night drubbing, which I have to admit, I like drubbings.
Yeah, I think this is the first shutout this season.
I believe you are correct, yeah. This is the first 0 that we've seen.
Yeah.
NO got NO points. This was just absolutely embarrassing. They had a couple field goal opportunities, I think, that obviously when you're down by 3 touchdowns, you're not going to just kick a field goal.
Let me just take a moment. That was like the worst joke ever.
Oh, I've definitely had worse.
Continue.
But yeah, in the fourth quarter, you really start to wonder, why are they playing this game? Why don't both teams just sit on the ball, go home, get some hot cocoa, and not risk the chance of getting injured, because nothing can happen at that point.
Well, no, I mean, the Packers needed to win this if they want to maintain something. They're still playing for some kind of seed.
Yeah. I'm not saying why didn't they play the game. I'm saying, why did they play the game in the fourth quarter? Just an absolute blowout. Packers, for their part, looked really good in all phases of the game. It wasn't just the score. It wasn't just the Saints' ineptitude. The Packers looked really good.
Okay, let's go to Week 17, which...
And then our prop bets, we both kind of failed those. Yeah, I had Rams winning by 23+. As we said, it was a low-scoring game. And you had Dallas obtaining 4 interceptions or throwing 4 interceptions?
Getting 4, I believe.
Yeah, I think they got 1.
Okay.
All right. Now we've got Week 17, where we would normally be making our predictions for all the games in Week 17. Now, since we're doing this a couple days into the week, both of us, let each other know our picks before the games. And so why don't we recap the first 3 games, and you can tell me what you were thinking picking against Kansas City.
I mean, I don't have there's no crazy rationale to it. The Steelers are just a good team. They have a good defense. The Chiefs' offense has been pretty sluggish this season. I don't think it was out of the Steelers' reach. But now they've lost 3 games in a row, so, I don't think it was 10% chance for the Steelers to win or something. None of the times I've picked against the Chiefs, they were playing someone that wasn't decent.
Yeah, really, in order to beat Kansas City, you need to be able to fairly consistently run the ball against them, so they can't just go into pass defensive formations. You're sending a lot of backs to kind of hold the 10-yard throws, to hold the 20-yard throws. And Pittsburgh, in theory, has some of that, but really, they were very inconsistent in being able to move the ball in the run game. And once you can't do that, look, RW is good, but
this was Christmas morning, or 12 o'clock, basically, where I am, and my uncle is a huge Steelers fan. We were watching this in the living room, during Christmas, man. He was so mad. He was always constantly bitching about the refs being paid off and holding calls and all kinds of shit.
There were one or two plays earlier where they did make a bad call against the Steelers, but Kansas City was just 120% the better team the entire game. This wasn't close, and I actually looked back at how many times you've picked against Kansas City this season. Kansas City, who is 15-1, you've picked against them 9 times, and you've won 1 of those where Buffalo did get the better of them.
Really? 9?
You've picked against them 9 out of 16 times.
Oh, well,
you are 1 for 9.
just goes to show how much I'm really whooping your ass. If I wasn't picking silly shit.
I feel like the ones I've gotten wrong, probably a bunch, probably Minnesota and Tampa Bay.
That's funny. And you got to
Yeah.
add all my Jets and Falcons picks to that, man.
Yeah, the Chiefs are my bread and butter in this pick 'em. Yeah. All right. Then we had the Baltimore and Houston game where we both picked Baltimore very easily, and Baltimore won very easily. Houston, did they finish with 2 points in this one?
You know, the funny thing is,
Yeah.
after the 12 o'clock game, I was at my uncle's house and I had a migraine.
He's a big Ravens, big
No,
Texans.
no. I had a migraine, so I went upstairs and I just took a nap. And then I came down at halftime and it was 31-2.
17-2.
Well, it was 31-2 or whatever at halftime.
No, I think it was 17-2 at halftime, and I think the 31-2 is the final score.
No, I'm telling you, it was the same score at like halftime than it was at like the end of the game. I'm pretty damn sure. Because I remember coming down again at the end, and I was like, it wasn't at the same score or something.
I think you were sleepwalking, man. Maybe you had some weird prophetic dream. Because I believe that, and I'll look it up right now and make sure. But I think that the 17-2 was a halftime scoregami, where we had never seen that score in the NFL before. 31-2 we have seen twice. And my friend Mark gave me this great stat where 2-0 has actually been seen 3 different times in the NFL since its inception. Yeah. So anyway, let me look up Week 17's matchup, but I believe it was 17-2 at halftime. I'm just going to confirm that, and then we'll move on.
Swear to God.
Yeah, the Ravens had 2 touchdowns in the third quarter.
Oh, well, shut me up. I guess I was really tired.
All right, you owe me a pizza. Seattle, Chicago.
Yep. I was just busy and didn't watch this game, but it looks like you were very in tuned to this game for some reason.
Oh my God, this game was disgusting. Both teams were so bad on offense. And the fact that Chicago was in it near the end does say something for them. But man, the final 2-minute drive, they called timeout 2 times, I believe, with a stopped clock already. They almost got delay of games a couple of times. And what's even worse than that is that
I did see that play where they got a strip and then it was called down and then a touchdown, then that was called back and then a recovery which was called down or something like that.
It was so disgusting. What's even worse than that is that they were about to kick a 57-yard field goal and decided to call their field goal unit off the field. Didn't make any sense. Caleb Williams actually made some good scrambles in that final drive, and at a few other points in the game. Like the Bears actually had some decent runs. Like they made plays, they just didn't do it consistently. Seahawks did at times too. Neither team could really sustain a long drive. It was like you have one really good play and then you couldn't do anything else. Yeah, Caleb actually looked good in points, but man, what they were doing at the end, where they couldn't even get the entire team to run up to the line and run a play before they'd tick 30 seconds off the clock and then call timeout. Man, this whole team is such a mess, and I think Matt Eberflus is most at fault for this, for just in the 3 years that he had there, not preparing the team for any type of situation. Not preparing the team to just stay organized and stay cool-headed in 2-minute football. They'd lose so many games just because they didn't have good coaching, but can't give a lot of credit to their current coach either, because they're just a trash fire. They're just a trash fire, and even when they should win a game, they just throw it away for no reason. Pick the 57-yard field goal. It's 4th and 10.
Okay,
there's a few seconds left in the game.
Calm down, son.
Okay, I can breathe.
All right. Well, this sets the Seahawks up for a Week 18 matchup against the Rams, where the winner is going to win the division.
Oh, is this win and you're in?
I think, or the Rams. You either win or you're in, or the Rams have to lose to the Cardinals later.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I would think, and I forget, because I think the Rams won their first matchup against the Seahawks. So I would think if the Rams beat the Cardinals, they might just be in.
That might be true.
You might be right. Yeah. Either way, really cool NFC West this whole season long.
All right, that takes us to our Saturday picks.
Mm-hmm.
First up, we've got the Chargers playing the Patriots at home.
Yeah.
Oh man, these Patriots. They could be 12-3 next season, right? No.
I wouldn't go so far as 12-3. I would not be surprised if they pull an 11-6 next season. Quite honestly.
I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Maybe the season after that. I think they'd be lucky to go 9-8 next season.
I would say it feels like they're in the midst of a successful rebuild. Is that fair?
I mean, I think their quarterback has potential and their defense is good, but there's just no good. They just don't have any talent on the offense, you know?
Look,
we didn't. Good players.
I mean, I knew Wes Welker because he was a Dolphin before the Patriots, but nobody else knew Wes Welker. Before he was on the Patriots.
You're saying who they have now will just instantly be awesome?
Yeah, I mean, look at a lot of the players that the Patriots ended up trading when they were in their prime to other teams, and how crappy they ended up being once they were on another team. The Patriots build talent within a system.
Okay, so you're going with the Patriots. I got it. Okay, let's move on.
Patrick Chung, is a player that nobody would have ever heard of if he weren't on the Patriots. They don't need stars to win. I actually think this game is going to be close, but no, the Chargers are an extremely good team. I'm taking the Chargers. I assume you are too.
I don't think they're extremely good, but I think they'll beat the Patriots.
I think they're probably the fourth best team in the AFC.
I honestly think they'll probably be one and done in the playoffs.
I mean, probably. They're if they end up having to play like the Ravens or someone like that, right? Yeah, they're probably not favored, but
the way it's looking, the way it's panning out is, yeah, the Broncos are going to end up having to play the Bills. The Chargers are probably going to end up playing the Ravens, like you said.
It would be hard to pick against the Ravens there. But yeah, I think the Chargers are very good. Their offense is really rolling.
Next up, we've got the Broncos playing the Bengals at home. And the Bengals desperately have to win this to keep their fleeting playoff dreams alive.
I have heard talk of Joe Burrow as MVP, and I think that's ridiculous.
He'd probably be in the conversation if they didn't lose so much.
Yeah, he probably would be, right? But, you look at, times he got outgunned, for example, by Jane Daniels, he's definitely putting up the stats to at least be in the talk for MVP, but, is he really pulling out the clutch wins? Often it's not his fault, right? He drives down and gets the touchdown, and then the defense gives it up in 12 seconds at the end. But occasionally it has been.
I think they should hand out all of the, medals, awards, and accolades after, Week 18, but before the playoffs, because when they wait till, the week before the Super Bowl, it just kind of poisons the well because they just give it to everybody on a team that made the playoffs.
I forget whether they actually lock in their voting before the playoffs or not. I know it's announced a few weeks later, but I'm not sure when they vote. I agree with you though. It should be done in that week in between. That would be ideal.
So who are you taking for this game, my guy?
I want to know who you're taking first because I have an interesting kind of dissertation on this one.
I guess I'm going to go with the Bengals. I think their offense is just going to be too much for the Broncos to handle. I mean, I think the Broncos are good enough to win, but I don't think they can. I don't think they'll be able to put up enough points to keep up.
I'm a little surprised, but I know that you respect the Bengals and or at least their offense. And yeah, their offense has been doing really well. And for that reason, I was originally thinking I might go with the Bengals in this one. And I looked up what teams the Bengals have actually beaten this season. I was thinking, have they actually beaten good teams? So I looked it up, and while they have played really close against some really good teams, for example, the Chiefs beat them by a point in week 2. I'm going to read off for you the teams that the Bengals have beaten according to my Google search: the Carolina Panthers, the New York Giants, the Cleveland Browns, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Dallas Cowboys, the Tennessee Titans, and the Cleveland Browns again.
Damn. That's some rancid
That's
company.
their 7 wins. That's their 7 wins.
Rancid company.
They're toilet dwellers.
Yeah.
They're toilet cleaners, is what they are.
So they've never beat a team over 500 this season? Is that what you're saying?
Not that's over 500 now. No.
Oh.
They've come really close against some very good teams, but given who they've beaten, I cannot say they're going to beat a pretty good team like the Broncos. And therefore, I'm going to take Denver in this one.
Okay. All right, next up, we've got the Cardinals at the Rams.
Uh-huh.
Don't have much to say about this, except the Rams desperately need to win this, so I think they just have much more to play for.
Cardinals are the Cardinals mathematically eliminated?
Yeah, last week they were.
Yeah, that's a shame for them. They were looking really promising, in the first half of the season, and they've been in a slide since. Rams, on the other hand, have just been looking better and better in every game. I know that their offense didn't do a lot against the Jets, but that's, I think, the first week in a little while that they haven't. They had that 44-point game against Buffalo. Their defense is playing lights out in a lot of games now, except for that Buffalo game where they only played lights out for a half. Just the Rams are honestly looking like a real threat in the NFC, and I think one that a lot of people aren't going to see coming. I don't think that they're going to be in the Super Bowl, but I could definitely see them upsetting someone in the playoffs. So I'm taking the Rams. Who you got?
I'm taking the Rams.
Yeah. And for the first time in a while, I don't have anything bad to say about Sean McVay.
On to Sunday games. First up, we've got the Colts against the Giants at home. And it pains me to take the Colts, but it would just be absurd. For how dysfunctional the Giants are, it would be absurd to pick the Giants,
Yeah, the Colts are not a good team, but the Giants seem to be able to manage to lose to anybody. I'm taking the Colts as well. This is not Toilet Bowl 17. We've got that coming soon.
All right, and speaking of painful, got to pick against my boy Aaron.
I have no pain here.
I thought he had a chance in a lot of games this season, but I don't think this is the one where
he did have a chance, and he blew it.
He's going to get the miracle upset against the Bills, that's for sure.
Oh, he was given chances on silver platters.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm going to throw the ball at the guy's knees.
Next up, we've got the Titans versus the Jags. This is actually more combined losses than the Raiders and the Saints, so this has to be Toilet Bowl 17.
Yeah, I think it's fair to give this game Toilet Bowl 17.
The funny thing is, these games that are meaningless and both the teams are terrible, it's actually kind of challenging to pick who wins. You seem to be really on these Jags being sleepy, high potential, right?
I've kind of come off of that, but I'm going to give them the nod in a comeback win over the Titans for this one.
They're gonna get that 3-13 comeback win, yeah. No, I'm actually gonna go with the Titans on this one.
Yeah,
just
I think
because
that's very reasonable.
They made a change at quarterback. I think their offense was a lot better last week. I think their defense is actually still pretty decent. Yeah, I'm actually gonna pick the Titans over the Jags because, man,
yeah,
the hell with the Jags, man.
We've got about 7 or 8 really bad teams in the NFL, and then I think we've got 5 teams out of those 8 that are in a tier of their own. I'm thinking Tennessee, Jacksonville, Las Vegas, the Giants, and Cleveland, kind of all sitting as, like, for me, almost tied in my mind as, like, the worst team in the league. Who do you think is the worst team in the NFL right now?
The Giants,
You can
man.
you can write someone in if you don't think it's one of those five.
The Giants for sure, man.
You think it's definitely the Giants?
I think it's...
'Cause I've seen the Raiders, I've seen Cleveland be absolutely that bad. I think I've got Cleveland as the worst team right now.
Definitely not. They actually have a side of the ball that's good. It's definitely the
Their
Giants,
defense,
man.
their defense is fine. Yeah. I mean, that's fair, but their offense is so inept. Okay, you got the Giants. I think that's more than reasonable as well. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right, so you got the Jags, I got the Titans. How cool.
Yeah, let's make this fun. I'll take the Jags.
Next up, we've got another challenging one. We got the Raiders.
Honorary toilet bowl.
Yes, Raiders against the Saints, fresh off their shutout at home in New Orleans. This one's equally dubious. So, yeah, I'm trying to make the argument in my mind, but nothing really, it almost feels just like an unfair coin toss, Yeah, I knew stuff about the Titans and the Jags, but this is like, they both just suck.
Yeah.
I guess
this one I'm going to say yes to no. I'm going to take the Saints just because I didn't include them in the five worst teams in the league just now. But I could definitely say the Raiders are a trash fire. Like, they're more of a fire. They're more like a team that's burning up than they're actually like a trashy team.
Yeah.
Like, they have a lot of self-inflicted wounds. The Saints, it's hard to tell whether they are trash or not. But I just think they're going to be like so mad coming off of that shutout. They're going to be motivated. This is going to be their Super Bowl.
I was leaning towards the Saints too, merely because Alvin Kamara's not hurt.
Uh-huh.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay. So we're both going for New Orleans?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know a reason to pick the Raiders. At least I know Alvin Kamara is on the Saints.
Yeah.
All right, next up we've got the Panthers. Probably looking to play spoiler against the Bucks. I believe if the Panthers win this, the Bucks will be eliminated, and the Falcons will take the division. For that reason alone, I'm going for the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, well, Carolina can hang tough here. And this is a divisional matchup. With the right odds, I would take Carolina here, but at a straight pick'em, it's really hard to go against Team TB. Yeah, I'm going to take the Buccaneers as well. I'm going to take the Bucks.
Then next up, we've got the Cowboys heading over to Philadelphia for another shit stomp. I think it'll be much closer than the first time they played each other earlier in the season, where they got absolutely annihilated and just like bent over for everything. Yeah, I think now that some players have come back off of injury and they look a little better, and the defense has been much better the last 4 games, I think it'll be much closer, but there's just no way in hell the Cowboys can, with their pretty like 4 out of 10 offense, can keep up with the Eagles.
Yeah, I feel like the Eagles are going to either stomp the Cowboys, or the Cowboys will actually have a chance to win. I don't think it's going to be like a boring kind of 10-point Philly win. I think it's more likely that the Eagles stomp, although they are prone to slide, and after the way that they let it go against the Commanders this past week, it's possible they'll be in their own heads.
They're a good team, though. The Cowboys suck.
The Eagles are a good team. Yeah, they're a very good team. They're just prone to slides. I think that it's more likely they'll stomp the Cowboys. If this is a close game, watch for the Cowboys to actually take it.
Man.
Anyway, just to be clear, I have the Eagles. And,
yeah.
You have the Eagles as well.
Yep. Next up, we've got the Dolphins traveling to Cleveland. And this one could be sneaky close. Why don't you give me the breakdown on your favorite team over here?
Here's the breakdown. Cleveland is not good enough to beat Miami.
Okay.
That's my breakdown. They are not good enough. Miami will put up some points. They will have good drives. Cleveland is not capable of that right now.
Okay, now let's travel back in time. If Jameis
Okay.
Winston was at the helm, then what would your
That is an interesting
prognostication be?
game, right? Then you have the idea of Miami, who has actually struggled to take away turnovers. Like remember when I said that the Chiefs are going to blow out Cleveland and they embarrassed them? Um, Miami is not the type of team that managed to make to produce a lot of turnovers this season. They tend to do well in terms of like holding the other team back on first and second down, and then third down can go either way. So if Jameis was actually in there, I would be a little more. I would be actually considerably more unsure. I mean, Miami's defense, offense, I think will still match up well against Cleveland. Their run game is very solid. They do a lot of artistry with short-term passing. I would still have Miami even if Jameis were in there, but I would not be nearly as confident. This game will go to Miami.
Yeah, since it's not Jameis and it's some new kid who hasn't done anything really, I have to go with the Dolphins because the Browns have only put up like 10 points the last 3 games or something.
Yeah. Their offense is
Okay,
just
on
stuck
to
in
a
first gear.
much more exciting game that has playoff implications. We got the Packers playing the Vikings at home, and I don't know which one of them won this the first time around, but if the Vikings lose this,
You want me to tell you?
Okay, tell me.
Last time they played was obviously in Green Bay early this season, and Minnesota won by 2 points. I think it was 31-29.
That's cool.
If you want to go back to last year, though, in December, Green Bay absolutely blew out Minnesota.
All right. Well, if the Vikings lose this, they no longer can get the number 1 seed. So, and the Packers are playing for something. I forget. This is tough, man. I feel like the Packers are hotter and more competent, but the Vikings have just seemed to keep putting together these wins by the skin of their teeth. I don't know. Even though they have such a great record, I just don't know if I'm still a believer in Sam Darnold and the crew, you know?
I know what you mean. What's weird is it seems like with Sam Darnold, every time people finally come around on him, same thing with like Geno Smith. Every time people finally come around and say, "Oh, he's actually pretty good," he wets the bed. And every time everybody doubts him and sneers at him, he does pretty good. It's like he can't stand being the overdog.
I think the Packers' offense is just really good, and their defense has been surprisingly stout. I think I'm going to go with the Packers, man.
Wow. Okay, I thought we were going to have a split game here. I'm also taking the Packers. I really like what I've seen from them when I've watched them in the second half of the season.
Yeah, man, their defense has just really stepped up, you know?
I doubted them at the beginning of this season, and, they proved me wrong, and they really showed how every part of their offense can be scintillating. Like you said, defense is stout. They don't make, even though they're kind of a young team, I think, they don't make a lot of the mistakes you would expect a young team to make. They really don't let games go when they should win them. Minnesota, also a really respectable team, but most of their wins have been very close. Green Bay has almost as good of a record. They did blow out Minnesota last time they played in Minnesota last year. Yeah, I'm taking the Packers as well.
All right.
I feel like the result of this game is really going to establish who the second best team in the NFC is after the Lions, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I think the Eagles are pretty good.
You think the Eagles are as good or better than both of these teams? Okay.
I feel like the Eagles have an insanely high ceiling like the Lions, but at the same time, I mean, their defense is really I don't know. They're all good. It's hard to say, man. I guess I'd still put the Lions first, and then I'd do the Eagles, and then I'd have a hard time picking one of these for third. But I guess since I'm picking the Packers, I'd pick the Packers third.
I have the Eagles all the way down at 5 after Green Bay, Minnesota, and even the Rams right now.
No,
because I feel like the NFC East has been kind of a soft place in the last couple of years.
I definitely would have the Rams over the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't think most people would. I mean, you're probably closer to the majority there. But I do feel that the Eagles, based on their ceiling, are overrated because they don't hit that ceiling super frequently.
All right, next up we have another competitive game against the Falcons playing the Redskins at home, and if the Falcons win this, it'll be almost impossible, I think, for them to not win their division, and they will get that playoff spot, and the Bucs will be eliminated. And then I believe the Redskins are basically locked in almost by their win last week against the Eagles.
Commanders,
So,
I think, yeah, have the playoffs, and probably can't rise too high in the seeding. But obviously, nice to be a 5 or a 6 instead of a 7. So I'm sure they'll be playing for something, in week 17. We'll see about week 18.
yeah,
Uh,
I still firmly believe Kirk would be able to put up a lot of points if he got out of his funk. But since they benched his ass for the rest of the season, I have to give this to the Redskins because there's no way this kid's going to be able to keep up with the Redskins offense.
yeah, I'm not as confident as you are, but I've got the Commanders as well.
And then our Monday night game, we got the Lions playing the 49ers at home, and my tight end is George Kittle. So by the time this game airs, we'll see if I am the fantasy champion of my fantasy league.
Well, I wish you good luck against your uncle. For the 49ers, this is out of the frying pan and into the fire.
Yeah, they might not even start what's his ass in this game. I don't know.
Broccolicious.
Yeah, I mean, what would be the point, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Just play for pride, right? Like, it's not like they're trying to move on from him necessarily.
No, but there's like 2 games left, and he's already been nicked up like twice this season, so I feel like it'd be kind of foolish.
Maybe go elsewhere.
They should be resting Debo, resting him.
Maybe they'll bench him in the second half if the game gets away from them. But, I mean, it's not like they have to rest him for the playoffs, right? They're going to have all year to rest. On the Lions side, man, the Lions are so good. Dan Campbell is a mad genius. And, the Lions just seem unstoppable right now, particularly by anyone in the NFC. It'd be foolish to pick against them, and just want to give them and their fans props for just looking so good right now.
Yep.
And then finally, that'll bring us to our prop bet. You have a good prop bet for me?
Not right now. Why don't you go first? Because I never really think of these before the fact, you know?
This is one of my most interesting prop bets of the season. I have that Bailey Zappi is going to get playtime on the Browns this week. He is currently 3rd on the depth chart after Dorian Thompson-Brown and Jameis Winston, both of whom are questionable. And we have kind of seen that, that Cleveland is not looking at Jameis as the answer. Bailey Zappi has had some, playtime, I think, back when he was on the Patriots. Did not look great, but did not look terrible either. Looked, decent in spots. He had a 4-4 record. And I think that the Browns might be looking to say, hey, this guy's pretty cheap. We've seen him do okay in the past. Could he be our future? I think Bailey Zappi is getting playtime.
You know, I don't even know if that's fair just because the other guy's so bad and Jameis has already been benched once.
Oh, it's absolutely fair. He is 3rd on the depth chart and they haven't said anything about playing him.
Okay. That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, like I said, he's been around.
Alright, mine is, I think this Michael Penix Jr. guy, he's going to have 2 picks, 5 sacks, and less than 200 passing yards in his loss against the Redskins.
2 interceptions, gets sacked 5 times, and less than 200 yards?
Yeah. 200 passing yards, yeah.
All right. Sounds good, man. I know it's been a long video, but we are locked in. We have 3 differences this week, although Pittsburgh, Kansas City has already played out, leaving me just 1 game behind. So this week we've got Cincinnati, Denver, 2 good offenses, and we've got Tennessee, Jacksonville in the toilet bowl of the week.
Neat.
Yeah. Any games you're particularly looking forward to this week? Since I don't think we have too many clashes of Titans.
Well, let's see. Saturday, I'm definitely going to be watching. Okay, I get to watch all three of the different times.
Green Bay, Minnesota will be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, on Saturday,
Yeah.
I'll watch the Broncos games only because we picked against it and because I have Cortland Sutton. So
Cool.
I always like to watch my guys. And then
Oh, of course. That's what makes fantasy football fun.
Sunday, the Cowboys are playing the morning game, so that means I won't get to watch Aaron. And then let's see. I guess I'll watch either Green Bay against the Vikings. I probably won't even show your lazy ass Dolphins against the Browns. They'll probably show me a game that actually matters.
Game of the week, baby.
So yeah, I'll probably watch Packers and Vikings, and then yeah, I guess I'll watch the night game so I can bash this kid because I want Kirk to come back. Yeah.
Oh man, wishful thinking.
I don't know if I'll watch Monday night though. Actually, yeah, I'll probably watch it just because I'll be like, give it to George. I want to win. Of course, by then my uncle probably would have already blown me out by now because his team's made like 180 points like every week for like a month.
Well, I wish you the best of luck in your fantasy matchup and the worst of luck in Pick'em this week, because, man, I miss being ahead. I want a taste of that back.
You ever been ahead this? Were you ahead in week 1 and that was it or something?
I think, week 1, and I think week 2 I maintained my lead from week 1. It's been a long time coming, and I want it back.
Nope, just week 1.
Oh,
you went minus.
I enjoyed it while it lasted. All right, man. So, if Jacksonville and Denver can pull it out, I will, take the lead going into the home stretch. But either way, best of luck in your fantasy game. Best of luck in all your other pursuits except Pick'em. And I'm looking forward to talking to you next week.
All right. See you guys.